Welcome to Politics Done Right. I am your host, Egberto Willies. This is a progressive program that will take the mystery out of politics. This is the program that will encourage you to make sure government becomes we the people. Whether you are liberal, progressive, conservative, or otherwise, you get to air your point of view. We are an independent media outlet that, unlike mainstream media beholden to corporations, we only owe allegiance to you. Remember, you can also send me a tweet at EGBERTOWILLIES. That is at Egberto Willies. Let us engage. It is Politics Done Right. Welcome to Politics Done Right from the studios of KPFT 90.1 FM, Houston, your community radio station. We have a great program for you today. Yvette Simpson, the Chief Executive Office for the progressive group Democracy for America, knocked it out of the park today on Meet the Press. I want you to listen to some of these excerpts. I mean, she should be the one of the people who are giving great advice to how Democrats should win or could win in 2022. It is amazing that so many, I heard many other interviews today on the national shows, they were so terrible in counteracting the Republican narrative. She wasn't. Check this out. We'll take it on the other side.
Manufactured hysteria?
No, I don't think so. I mean, I think Kansas is the exact opposite, right? It shows that this was an issue that people agree with. And when we get on the ground and we organize voters in a red state, across the state, in cities, in rural areas and suburbs, people show up. And so, unfortunately for Republicans, unfortunately for us, if we continue this same momentum, if we make abortion access the issue, we might actually have enough energy to pull it off.
We just saw in our poll this morning, 69% sour on the economy. Joe Biden stuck in the 30s right now.
Yeah, I think the reality is we continue to debate about whether there's inflation, whether we're in recession, and if you just ask people, they're struggling. And I don't know if the IRA is going to get there. I mean, we know that
the bill they're working on
the bill that just passed the Senate yesterday. People are still suffering. Child care was not in there. Paid leave was not in there. We still have issues with wages. People are still feeling the pain. And if the issue at the ballot box is, do you feel like we're in a recession? We're going to lose on that. Do you feel like there's inflation? We're going to lose on that. We need to make sure we're showing the American people that we're doing everything we can to make them secure. And a small win on gas prices and a bill on climate right now is not going to get us all the way there.
Yvette, one of the things the Democrats are counting on, if you just looked at Joe Biden's approval rating and views on the economy, looking like a bloodbath for Democrats. But right now, Dr. Oz is behind.
Yes.
Pennsylvania, Mark Kelly, Democrat is ahead. In Arizona, J.D. Vance is fighting in Ohio. It does look like the Democrats are still in the game, at least in the Senate.
The Republicans are giving us gifts in the form of election deniers and people with rap sheets a mile long. I mean, you got Dr. Oz, you got Herschel Walker, you got J.D. Vance, these folks who do not relate to the people in their states, cannot connect with anybody, and people don't have faith in them. And I think we've been very fortunate on the other side. We've got some strong candidates who are going to take them on, and Raphael Warnock and John Fetterman and, others. So I think we have to make sure that that is the story, not necessarily about what people are feeling, but the alternative is a Republican Party that doesn't believe in elections, that stormed the Capitol on January 6th, these folks who are abusers, and this issue with Marjorie Taylor Greene praying with a guy in a cell. I mean, the Republican Party is a wacko party. The alternative is that you got to go with the Democrats in November.
We spend a lot of... You cannot argue with the three major points she made about how to politic in 2022. One, the first clip I showed, in as much as we were talking about the abortion issue, she spoke about the abortion issue winning in Kansas because the engagement went not only in the big cities, not only to Democrats. You had a full press into the suburbs, a full press into the rural areas, a full press into the urban areas. You have to engage all the people that you're asking to vote for you. The second item that she spoke about that is very important. Don't depend on the IRA to solve the problem, the new bill that Democrats are putting out there, because yes, it covers climate. Yes, it covers a few things with Medicare being able to negotiate, which doesn't come for a whole 4 years. Yes, it covers covers a few other issues, but the main things that grassroots America really needs: childcare, better stipends to help people put their kids into daycare, etc., etc., etc. Basic income for those people who inflation is the inflation is decimating. None of those things are in that bill. So when the Republicans come on the attack, there's nothing to fight them with. What she says is, you have got to let it be a forward-looking campaign. Give us more progressives. And what you get when you get more progressives is we can then pass the policies beyond the neoliberals and others who are stopping progress. And lastly, but not least, she says, hey, thank you, Republicans. You have given us a gift. You know why? Because Americans many Americans, that is, they won't go ahead and say, let's put some wackos in charge. Because after all, we supposedly all love the country that we live in, and putting wackos in is a sure, clear, and present danger. Yvette Simpson's hit the nail. Well, I should say, Yvette Simpson hit all the nails on the head. Welcome to the summer sizzle here at KPFT 90.1 FM Houston. You know, we are in this short fun drive mode, but you know, you're still getting your program here, right here at Politics Done Right. Now, but I need to talk to you a bit. We are moving into our new abode. We'll be moving into our new studios in the beginning of September. And as you know, that means many of our costs will go up. But before we go into that, I want to urge you, first of all, to let others know about what we do here at KPFT. Not only the music that you don't get on air on the commercial stations, but on our shows that talk to the community, our talk shows, our news programs, our news and fact-based opinion programs like Politics Done Right, ones that you're listening to right now. But this is the only place where you can get unadulterated truth, not biased by having to cater your words to what corporate America may want you to know and not know. We are here to just give you the truth. Politics Done Right, and several other shows that we have on this station. Now, it's important for me to get across that, especially in this politically heated, polarized time, that we have a KPFT 90.1 FM Houston around. Why? You know, you listen to the newscast and you hear about polarization and you hear about how Trump is going to do this, or the Republicans this, the Democrats that, progressives fighting against Democrats, etc., etc., etc. What does that really mean to you? That's what we're here for. First of all, let me say that the vast majority of Americans, left, right, middle, center, whatever you want to call it, I speak to a lot of people throughout the country, and I tell you, most of us, the vast majority of us, want the same thing. But you would not know that listening to your regular TV. You will not know that because we have forces that are trying their utter best. You must hate that other. And that other could be anything. That other could be somebody that looks different. That other could be somebody that has a different political party affiliation. That other could be somebody of another religion. But you break it all down and you find out that most of us want the same thing. Most of us have that intersectionality where all the things that we want for ourselves and our family are pretty darn similar. But we have those forces that must keep you apart. And that's why in all the narrative that I do, in all the speaking that I do, I make sure these doors are open for everybody. I am, honestly, a very progressive person. But I have progressive relatives, conservative relatives, middle of the road relatives. And guess what? I love them all. I speak to them all. I enjoy them all. And it's the same with my friends. I have progressives, liberals, conservatives, right-wingers, Trumpists. Hell, I have relatives that are Trumpists as well, and I love them all. What am I trying to say here? There are forces out there, and mostly on, let's say, the mainstream media is one of the largest promoters of this, that their goal is to ensure that we keep friction among all these different groups. And why? Because if you are fighting each other, if we are fighting each other, then we don't look at what is the core of our problem. And that's what we discuss here at Politics Done Right, the core of our problem. I don't care who you are a family member of the Politics Done Right posse. Because that's what we're here for. Engagement, truth, communication. So now, I ask you for that specific reason, keep us on the air by keeping us funded. We don't get funded from anywhere else but you. Yeah, we may get a little grant here and there, but nowhere to cover what it costs to bring you the truth, to bring you the things that we bring you. So I ask you so kindly, make a commitment. Please make a commitment to a station, to a program that is not there to divide, a program that is not there to try to bring a narrative, a corporate narrative to control your mind, but support us because you know we are needed. We are needed. We have to be a voice of reason. We have to be a voice of honesty. We have to be a voice of truth. So I ask you to make that commitment. Call 713-526-5738. Again, that number is 713-526-5738. Make a commitment to Politics Done Right to KPFT via Politics Done Right. And we have a few gimmicks. We have, if you give to KPFT Summer Sizzle between August 1st and the 13th, you'll be automatically entered into a drawing for one of 2 copies of Waiting for Columbus, a deluxe 8 CD set autographed by all members of the band Little Feat. Winners will be announced on August 16. 1 entry per person, but don't let that keep you from supporting multiple times, multiple shows. For info on the drawing rules, just go to kpft.org. But please support us. Give us a call, 713-526-5738, or go to kpft.org. As you give, please remember to do it in the name of Politics Done Right, to ensure that our leadership sees that the program is doing what it needs to do to ensure that we stay on air. By the way, we'll be coming to you multiple times a week, more so than now, live from the studio where we'll be taking calls. And like I said to many of you before, those of you who give KPFT, whether it's my books, whether it is some other offer that you find at kpft.org, anybody that gives over $120 to Politics Done Right in the name of Politics Done Right, I'll be arranging for those of you who want to to come sit in the new studio with me as we do the show. And I mean that from the depths of my heart. Because like I tell both of my audiences, both my online audience and my KPFT audience, politics done right is yours. Politics done right is ours. We're here to do what's right. So please give us a call at 713-526-5738. Again, that number is 713-526-5738. Or easy, quick way, please go to kpft.org. Please remember to select that you are that you're supporting Politics Done Right with your contribution. And remember, you have several options with many different offers as a token of appreciation. But you can also support us by getting my book, As I See It, Class Warfare, The Only Resort to Right-Wing Doom, for an offer of $120. You can also get It's Worth It, How to Talk to Your Right-Wing Relatives, Friends, and Neighbors, for a offer of $120. As well, you can get As I See It, How to Make America Utopia, Take Away the Economy from Those Who Rigged It, for $120. You get in a combination of those books, either 2 or 3, and we have offers that are very, 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 very efficient for you, if you will. 713-526-5738, or simply go to kpft.org. Please, folks, please do remember, your contribution to KPFT is a contribution to sanity. It's a contribution to political sanity. It's a contribution to unity of us Americans. Again, 713-526-5738. We speak about why are things so hard? Why are things so difficult? Why do we have this angst in this country? There are forces working to ensure we have angst, to ensure we have dissension among people. And these forces know exactly why and what they're doing, because as you're enlightened, you become somebody who is engaged. As you're engaged, you ensure that we have an equitable society. And an equitable society means to many that they can no longer pilfer us all, that they can no longer take it all. That again, it is an equitable society. So there is reason for us not to complain about what they're doing to us, but to actually make a difference and be a part of the solution. And I am telling you, my commitment as a citizen of this country. I remember several times looking in the mirror as we went through the angst since the inception of this program. Before the inception of this program, I would always be looking and I'll be saying, why doesn't somebody do something about this? Oh my God, what CNN is saying, what Fox News is saying, what MSNBC is saying. Why don't they say this? Why don't they do the necessary things to keep people together? All the time, right? Then I remember one night sitting back and looking in space, looking in a mirror, virtual mirror, saying, wait a minute. I'm always saying, why doesn't somebody do something about this? Guess what? I'm looking at somebody. It all starts with you, with me in that case, in that situation. And that's when it used to be called liberal politics done right. But after doing liberal politics done right for a while, I wanted to be all engaging and working with the Coffee Party. And we wanted to say, no, this is for all Americans, everybody. Politics done right. No labels. Yes, I'm progressive, but I love everybody. I want everybody in. 713-526-5738. Again, 713-526-5738. Please be a part of the solution. KPFT.org. You can support us at KPFT.org as well, or at 713-526-5738. Remember, you are ensuring that we can stay on the air, but it is something that we need to do. So I ask you one last time before we continue with programming, 713-526-5738, 713-526-5738, or go to kpft.org. I promise you, you will feel that you are a part of the solution as you support solutions. I assure you that we intend to be frugal with your contributions. I promise you that as far as politics done right, I am here to serve. I am here to provide truth. I am here to listen. And I am here to learn from all of you. 713-526-5738. Again, that number is 713-526-5738. Please be a part of the solution. Please provide us some support in the name of Politics Done Right at KPFT. 713-526-5738, or go to kpft.org, and let's get into continued programming at Politics Done Right. Thank you for your hearing. Oh my God. I think Jonathan Karl got it right this time. I mean, Donald Trump, a lot of the candidates that he's supporting, that he's endorsed, they are winning because the base of the party now belongs to Donald Trump. And this reporter sees what many of us think is going to be the result and why it's likely that Democrats and progressives are going to hold on to not only the Senate, but also the House.
Donald Trump is on a roll. Speaking of rolls, he is dominating these parties. You have candidates winning in state after state who would have had no chance without a Donald Trump endorsement, and they're winning the Republican primaries. But here's the thing. The more Trump wins, the more Republicans are poised to lose.
So yes, Jonathan Karl, when Trump wins, his candidates are likely to lose. And it is incumbent on all of us out here to really ensure that Americans know what those candidates are doing. The candidates who were endorsed by Donald Trump, it's time for them to know what these guys are all about. Or they want to stop you from voting if you're not the right type. These are nuts. And you know what? If they win, that's pretty good for us as long as we get our people out. So folks, remember, vote. Progressives and Democrats always have better policies for middle-class America and the poor. Always. And the reason why, it's a philosophical difference as far as how one improves themselves, etc. One is based on if you're lucky, all is fine, or if others deemed you okay, qualified, it's fine for you to make. It's fine for you to ascend. But most or several of centrist Democrats going on television, they are a poor excuse for making the case for a self-sufficient middle class and poor person getting ahead. Better policies, but I mean the Republicans run rings around them in lying, in misinforming, in misconstruing. I want you to see this interview, or it's actually an interview on CNN. Both Blumenthal and Lindsey Graham are there. And Lindsey Graham is so well prepared for a Democrat who has no way of explaining himself in a manner that punches back, in a manner that everyone sees the truth. Check this out, and then we'll take it on the other side. This is simply upsetting, at the same time fascinating. Check this out.
3 independent economic analyses, including the Congressional Budget Office, all say the Inflation Reduction Act will actually have little to no impact on inflation. How is this bill actually going to help Americans who are having trouble paying for their groceries, for their housing, for their gas?
Great question, and thanks for having us in this bipartisan way. I think Americans are going to see the costs of their prescription drugs cut because of Medicare negotiations. They're going to see energy costs cut because they're going to be receiving credits and rebates for energy saving and cost-cutting measures. And they're going to see greater tax fairness because corporations that are currently paying nothing will have to pay at least 15%. We're talking corporations with assets of more than $1 billion or earnings of excess in that amount. So we're going to see costs of gasoline continue to drop, costs of necessities to decline, and I think Americans will see historic results.
Well, this is not the bipartisan part of the interview. So the American Rescue Plan, remember that one? That was supposed to make everything better. Well, it became a recession plan. This is going to make everything worse. I voted for a bipartisan infrastructure bill. I voted for gun legislation. I'm not going to vote for this. The minimum tax of 15% destroys expensing. Now, what does that mean? If a company buys a piece of equipment, they could expense it under the 2017 tax cut in the same year they bought it. That goes away. So CBO says it disincentivizes companies for building factories, buying equipment, which would help us get out of recession. There's a 16.4% tax on imported barrels of oil that are going to increase cost at the gas pump. Subsidies for Obamacare go to families making $304,000 a year, which I think is ill-conceived. And the bottom line, it's not going to help inflation. It's going to make everything worse.
One of the other things that the CBO, the Congressional Budget Office, said, Senator Graham, is that the bill would reduce the deficit. Republicans historically have been very focused on reducing the deficit. So why not support that?
It says it would reduce the deficit by $100 billion. We're going to spend almost $1 trillion. The truth is that the Obamacare subsidies go away after 3 years. Well, we all know they're not going to go away. So if they stayed in place for 10 years, it would add $280 billion to the deficit. So it's a gimmick. They've got a gimmick in the bill to limit the subsidies for 3 years that go to people who make $304,000 a year. This thing's going to make everything worse, and not one Republican is going to vote for it.
Well, I'll tell you one thing where I think we can agree it will make things better is the IRS is going to have resources it needs to go after the highest income Americans that are cheating on their taxes right now. And it will mean more revenue for the government. And frankly, cutting through all of the numbers, all of the CBO stuff, the average American sitting at their kitchen table deciding whether they can buy medicine, pay their mortgage, or go to the grocery store and get the food they need, they're going to be able to get that medicine much more cheaply. And overwhelmingly, American people want to cut the cost of prescription drugs. This measure does it through enabling Medicare to do what the VA does, what the Department of Defense does, negotiate for lower prices. And that will affect the entire course of inflation.
And I just want to bring one other issue that's in this bill.
And I don't agree with that. But
go ahead. No, go ahead.
Well, number one, prescription drugs. This is price fixing. They take 15 drugs and they put a limit on what you can charge. That sounds good until pharmaceutical companies invent less new drugs. Remember COVID? Well, it was the American pharmaceutical industry that got us the drugs that keep us out of the hospital and keep a lot of us alive. This is price fixing. It's never worked before. It's not going to work now. Hiring 86,000 more IRS agents, if that makes you feel better, you missed a lot. They're coming after waitresses, Uber drivers, and everybody else to collect more taxes. So if you think growing the IRS is good for you, you're wrong.
You want to respond or you want to move on?
I think the IRS is going to target the highest income Americans. As the saying goes, that's where the money is. Yeah. That's where they're going to look to collect. Yeah. The idea that there's going to be this army of IRS agents defending, descending on the average American is just preposterous. Tax fairness is what we need. And for the biggest corporation in this country to pay no taxes, for them to do stock buybacks that benefit the shareholders. But for example, in the case of oil companies, they are making 3 to 4 times what they did just last year. What are they doing with those excess windfall profits? Lowering gasoline prices? No, they are doing stock buybacks. They ought to pay a tax on it.
Okay.
And I think there ought to be rebates to consumers.
Oh boy, that was painful. First of all, Lindsey Graham, you are good. You know how to put lipstick on a pig, and you did it perfectly. If I had a pig trying to put, I would have to ask you to do it. You spoke to the waitress. You spoke to everybody, and you showed them with misinformation how this new bill that is actually going to be good for a lot of folks, it's going to be bad. You were good. And all Rosenthal could speak about were things like, we're going to create the IRS to run across and find all those rich people that don't pay taxes. And the average American going to say, yeah, but those rich people have accountants that they're going to know not to do X, Y, Z. So it makes what Lindsey Graham says sound a little bit more true. Or, we're going to get your drug prices cut. And look, here is the deal. If you really wanted to challenge Lindsey Graham, let's look at some of the things Lindsey Graham said. He kept on saying, we are how to get us out of this recession. We are not in a recession. You cannot be in a recession with 500,000 jobs created in a month. That the GDP has dropped 2 months in a row. Those are technical reasons why it dropped. He should have challenged Lindsey Graham. Lindsey Graham, would you prefer us to be in the upswing that Trump was in when we only had 100,000 people per month? Or do you prefer what we are giving Americans, over 500,000 new jobs per month? He should have challenged him. You notice when Blumenthal started, he said, thanks for having us in this bipartisan manner. And as soon as Lindsey Graham has to respond, he pats him on the back and he says, this is not going to be bipartisan. Like the child who looks like the person that can't defend you. Okay, now Lindsey talks about by allowing us to negotiate for drug prices, and by the way, it's only about 10 or 15 drugs they're negotiating. There are thousands of drugs, right? But they want you to believe that somehow they are going to be hurting the drug companies. Let's get something clear first. Drug companies do not take risk. They do not invent. Look at their balance sheet. Most of their profits don't go back reinvested into research. Their profits go to shareholders. Their profits go, or rather, their monies go to spend on advertising. They spend more on advertising and marketing than they do research and development. Does that tell you something? Or is that going to harm research? It makes absolutely no sense. And Blumenthal did not challenge that. Blumenthal should say, wait, Lindsey, remember, most of the drug research is done by the taxpayer dollars, and you always try to hold that back. You always try to hurt taxpayers. Remember, the private sector only takes a drug after it has been developed. Then Lindsey says, you remember COVID? COVID was, if it weren't for us, having the pharmaceutical companies well-funded, we would not have solved COVID. False. We gave $2 billion to the companies to rush the output on COVID vaccines after we had paid universities and other entities the monies to research RNA or mRNA technology. You see, all these things immediately, once Lindsey talked about COVID, we should have said COVID was done through the government, not the pharmaceuticals. The pharmaceuticals completed the research funded by the government. Thank you so kindly. Thank you very much. But no, Blumenthal didn't say that, right? Then the 15% rate. If you charge them 50%, that company who would have bought expensed a factory. What they mean is expensing mean that when they build that factory, they could, instead of depreciating it over 30 years, they may have just expensed the entire factory. It's under certain limits, right? So that they could reduce their taxes. In other words, instead of spreading out that depreciation, and by the way, depreciation is a tax scheme anyway, but instead of depreciating it over 30 years or something like that, to reduce their immediate taxes, they go ahead and they jam it all to say, we don't really owe taxes because we're expensing out that factory altogether. So they're saying, you charge them a minimum of 15%. These guys would not be able to do the trick, so they pay zero taxes. To which Blumenthal should have said, wait a minute, you mean these guys depend on the tax system to invest in a factory that's going to keep them viable? The reason why manufacturing of the microchips is done in Taiwan and not the United States is because of the gimmicks of these guys wanting to take the profits and not pay taxes? Is that what you're saying, Lindsey Graham? We are so terrible in confronting the stupidity of the right, the non-functionality of the policies. Right. Come on, folks. Look, their policies are the reason why we have deteriorating infrastructure. Their policies are the reason why our airports are some of the worst in the industrialized world. Their policies are the reason why we are sicker than any other industrialized country in the world. Their policies are the reason why we are the only country where you can actually go bankrupt because you get sick. Those are neoliberal. Those are supply side policies instituted by the other side. And we are apologetic when we attempt to do something right for humanity, our American humans. We are apologetic for that. Why do we have such a stick representing what it means to be an efficient person in supporting America? And IRS agents running after you? You mean you want there to be a bunch of tax cheats? Come on, folks. We need to learn how to speak. And it's evident that centrists, it's evident that moderates, it's evident that we need good spokespeople, educated, intelligent. And by the way, all these guys are, but they don't have what it takes to really inform Americans. Americans vote for Republicans because we have guys like Lindsey Graham who are very effective communicators. And we have Blumenthal, who has better policies. Not that he's the best. I mean, he's sort of a moderate guy. Guys like Blumenthal, who has no notion of how to connect with the average American citizen and say, hey, those taxes that you are paying, that they're not paying, you are paying indirectly in some form. We have got to do it. So look, bottom line is this. The Blumenthals of the world are not going to get the job done. All these guys are not going to get the job. It is your job to actually articulate what we're talking about here to your neighbors, your brothers, your sisters, your friends, your enemies, and everybody else, because it is clear there won't be a centrist or moderate Democrat who will on TV articulating next to a Republican and let them have it for the havoc they've caused in this country. Many Republican leaders like to pass themselves off as pro-life, we care about people, etc. I used to be a Christian. Do you remember that story in the Bible when this guy knocked on the door and he came into the house and the owner of the home looked at him and he said, I don't like you. You're unclothed. You're hungry, you're undressed. He came several times, 3 times if I recall. I don't remember exactly how many times. But then Jesus showed up to the home and the guy said to some extent, hey, what took you so long, Jesus? Or I may be reinventing the story to a different way, but this is the idea. Then Jesus said, I already came here 3 times and each time you denied me, you ignored me, And it turned out he just came to him in these different forms. And the person who is supposed to be loving to other human beings was very unkind. Now, it turns out that Gregory Abbott think it is in his benefit for the people of Texas to see him look at those folks who are coming from across the border. And since Texas wants nothing to do with them, if at all possible, ship them on a bus to New York because New York is a sanctuary city, right? So you just throw them on a bus and go to New York. Of course, New York is there with open arms to take these folks, taxi cab drivers, etc., or driving these people to their destination free of charge. Who more reflects, for those who are Christians, who more reflects the word of God? Check this out.
When you think about what the governor is doing, the governor of Texas, after a month of traveling across the border, placing on the bus with no direction.
I got one thing to tell you and to tell them. There are more buses on the way as we gather at this conference today.
Now, the mayor of New York showed that he was a magnanimous man, and he went over to meet these people sent by Greg Abbott from Texas. And Greg Abbott instead goes to a convention, to a conference or something. And he was proud to throw those people out of Texas and throw them to New York. What is going on in the minds of many of our GOP leaders that believe that as evil as can be is what people really love in him, in them? How can the mistreatment of people be a positive? How can the mistreatment of human beings who are coming over here for sanctuary because of many reasons, some of which we as a United States created in our economic excesses across the hemisphere? Who? And when they come, we treat them like dogs. When they come, we treat them like personas non gratas. Who is the one who really cares about life? Who are the ones that are really pro-life? Do remember, we are in fund drive right now, but you are still getting yourself a great program that we work at putting together for you. Stuff that some that you may know on a small level, some that you may not know at all. That's why we're here. Politics Done Right, KPFT 90.1 FM, Houston. We're asking you to invest in this community radio station. But why? Because, folks, there's a lot of media out there, but it's not media that you control. It's not media that has your interests at hand. When we're talking about community radio, when we're talking about this community radio station, KPFT 90.1 FM, we're talking about a station that is solely funded by whom? You. And if it is funded by you, our loyalty is to you. Most other stations, commercial stations, they're funded by their advertisers, and their advertiser needs to program you. And they need to have you in a particular modal. That is why our politics is so bad. Because we need you uninformed. Politics Done Right doesn't believe in that. Politics Done Right, KPFT 90.1 FM, Pacifica Network, we don't believe that. We believe that it is essential that you are in control. It is essential that you support us so that we can feed the ethos, that we can give, we can enlighten with what is the absolute truth. In that light, I'm asking you to please call 713-526-5738 or go to kpft.org and support us. You can support us with a $25 membership, a $40 membership, or you can get any one of our gifts that you find there. Please do this in the name of Politics Done Right. Also, remember that you can get one of my several books out there. As I see it, Class Warfare, the only resort to right-wing doom, for a contribution of $120. It's worth it. How to talk to your right-wing relatives, friends, and neighbors for a contribution of $120. How to make America utopia. Take away the economy from those who rigged it. pledge of $120. You can get any two of those books for $200, any three of those books for $250. That is to support our station. And all those books, I promise you, give you all that you need to have that conversation across the board to ensure, to help us make a better America. So please support us. Please support KPFT 90.1 FM Houston. Call 713-526-5738 or visit kpft.org. In the name of Politics Done Right, please select one of our books, several of our books, or one of our offers. We're here for you. You can get Politics Done Right Mondays through Fridays on Facebook Live at facebook.com/Politics Done Right. On YouTube Live at politicsdoneright.com/YouTube. Please do not forget to follow me on Twitter for updates. My handle is at Egberto Willies, at EGBERTOWILLIES. Before you get started, please remember to keep your community radio station in your minds, KPFT in your minds. Talk about it. Tell your friends about it. Tell them you know about this station in town, 90.1 FM Houston, that needs your support, that is there to provide that nourishment that we need. 713-526-5738. KPFT.org. Visit us online. Contribute online. KPFT 90.1 FM. You can visit us at kpft.org. The downfall of Donald Trump really began. Guess what? They are currently invading Donald Trump's home at Mar-a-Lago right now. So, folks, get ready for the real thing to begin, because as is necessary, finally, the FBI seems to be acting. They must have some real information, finally, on the crook in chief, the thief in chief, the rapist in chief. Wow. This would be great if they finally got down to the bottom of who Donald Trump really is. We always knew the president was a thug. We always knew the president was a criminal. Yes, I know that he's not yet convicted. So everything that I just said, put alleged in front of it. But guess what? From the way he has behaved, is it really alleged? Well, for now, for legal reasons, the alleged thug, the alleged criminal, the alleged rapist, the alleged thief, the alleged all of those things, the president, former president of the United States, Donald Trump, things may have come home to roost. Michael Rodney says, I'm listening today, no commentary today, new glasses on Monday. I hope. Before we say anything else, I want to ask Michael Rodney something, buddy. That $800 glasses, after you mentioned that, my mind went into Spurs. It went and it just started doing the things that we have tolerated in this system, that you just need a few pieces of glass in front of your eyes. Something that is manufactured for probably no more than $1 or $2 in glass materials and what else. And then they're going to charge you $800 for it. That is healthcare in America. But we do it. We do it. Whatever the market will bear. Rodney needs some glasses to see a medical condition. Glasses. And, well, he can come up with $800. He's fine. But Rodney, remember what you've studied here with us, what all have studied here with us. Most Americans, and I know probably everybody here is doing just fine, but we are an empathetic bunch. Did you know that probably 80% of Americans, if they had to choose and whether they could get that $800 glasses or not, they could not? This is America today. Brother Lee Grant started his discussion today saying, hey, y'all, looks like we're officially a third world country. Great job. We've been a third world country for the 80% of Americans who cannot afford health care, who cannot go to the doctor, who are put on waiting lists for 2 or 3 months to see a specialist. And you talk about Canada and why we don't want the kind of medicine, single payer, because of Canada, they have waiting lists. We have longer waiting lists than Canada. If you don't have a premier insurance policy, if you have that HMO that you can afford, yeah, you're going to go and be treated like cattle. Please, let's really see how things are. Like, Bertha, pardon mind reading this one out. Of course I don't mind, sir. And your statement is, those on the actual left would defund capitalism, replace it with a better system that prioritizes the needs of people and deprioritizes corporate greed, whether with democratic socialism or something else. A conversation for a different time. You ever hear Biden talk about replacing capitalism? No, he says he's a capitalist. No, that's because he's not a leftist. Now watch the conservatives lose their minds. Let me just first say this, okay? I first believe in humanity, human beings, right? And if you believe in human beings, that comes first. You build an economic system around humanity. You build an economic system after you decide what the wants and needs are for the people that you want to support. In other words, you decide what type of society you want, and then you create an economic system that fits that. Remember, an economic system is not divine. It is created by human beings. We decided to create this arcane, immoral system called capitalism, and because they say, oh, look at all the great buildings and look at all the money that it has created, not reminding you that it has really created it for just a few en masse, and not reminding you that most of the things those builders of capitalism build, they can't use or go into. If you go downtown Houston, you have the biggest amalgamations of beautiful skyscrapers. Precioso. If you go down to the Houston we got a lot of beauties, a lot of great things that were created that we can't go into. That wasn't really made for us. We built it from slavery right up. And that is what I'm trying to inculcate into people's minds. Don't buy the rhetoric. Don't buy the narrative. There is a better way. Free enterprise, not capitalism. Free enterprise with a strong social safety net where we remove all essentials that humanity needs out of the for-profit domain, and all the other things you guys can go fight about it in the free enterprise system. We decide what kind of economic system we want, and in that economic system, you go to the hospital, no problem. You have a basic place to live, no problem. If you want more, you know, it's a bifurcated economy. And it works perfect, but do you know why they're scared to implement that? Because the fat cat's sitting on the top. Their biggest fear, ask the Powell memo, the writer of the Powell memo, who realized America was getting smart. They want you to believe that somehow those executives up top are more than just parasites. These guys have the real gig. You have the honor of being accepted to a good business school that teaches you capitalism's foundation. You get a chance to then be hired by the bureaucracy. Wow, man, you're almost there. And you then earn the right with those two eventualities or being invited in to profit off of the labor of the masses. You get a cut of everything that they do. You know these great big high prices that we got for gasoline? The price of oil, crude oil, didn't really go up for the people who mine the crude oil. But these corporate executives, they went and they salivated. They held on to those prices as long as they could. They held those prices high, and then at the end of the fiscal year, they said, wow, we got to get rid of all this money. Bonuses here, bonuses there, bonuses everywhere. And shareholder value. We buy back those stocks. Great. Only a few percentage of the population get into that. That was money they took out of that poor woman's pocket. That was money they took out of the pockets of all these people because they had pricing power. They just took it and then they spread it out and then they think they did something. They didn't mine the oil. They didn't pump the gas. They didn't create the science behind it. But they're going to the bank. That's capitalism. And you know, those of you that don't have a pot to piss in right now and that are out there, oh my God, we got to keep this system the way it is. Ask yourself the question, who are you fighting for? Are you fighting for your family, your wife, your daughter, your sister, your mother? Or are you fighting for some ideal or some narrative given to you by somebody who doesn't give a damn about you. That's what you're doing. They can paint it however they want. The fact that they do what they do is evil.
Please get one of my several books out there. As I see it, Class Warfare, the only resort to right-wing doom, for a contribution of $120. It's worth it. How to talk to your right-wing relatives, friends, and neighbors for a contribution of $120. How to make America utopia, take away the economy from those who rigged it, for a pledge of $120. Get any 2 of those books for $200, any 3 of those books for $250. The contributions from my books go directly to support our station, KPFT 90.1 FM. Alternatively, folks, please get your basic KPFT only membership for $40, a Pacifica only membership for $25, or choose from one of our many other gifts for your contribution. Just go to kpft.org. Choose Politics Done Right for the program and select an option either for our books or something else to support the station. It is definitely worth it. You can listen and or watch Politics Done Right Mondays through Fridays on Facebook Live at facebook.com/politicsdoneright or on YouTube Live at politicsdoneright.com/YouTube. Please do not forget to follow me on Twitter for updates. My Twitter handle is @Egberto Willies, @EGBERTOWILLIES. But don't you forget, listen to us live on air at KPFT 90.1 FM on Thursdays at noon and at Fridays at 11 a.m. all Central Time. Please remember to keep your community radio station in your minds. Keep KPFT on your mind. Talk about it. Tell your friends about it. Tell them you know about this station in town, 90.1 FM Houston, that needs your support. That is there to provide that nourishment that we need. KPFT 90.1 FM Houston. Well, folks, that's it for today. You know how I'm going to end this baby. My name is Egberto Willies. This is Politics Done Right. And you know how I end this baby. I am what? Out!
Welcome to Politics Done Right. I am your host, Egberto Willies. This is a progressive program that will take the mystery out of politics. This is the program that will encourage you to make sure government becomes we the people. Whether you are liberal, progressive, conservative, or otherwise, you get to air your point of view. We are an independent media outlet that, unlike mainstream media beholden to corporations, we only owe allegiance to you. Remember, you can also send me a tweet at EGBERTOWILLIES. That is at Egberto Willies. Let us engage. It is Politics Done Right.